This is not the Mezco 112 Punisher. Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us once again on the D-Star01 channel. I'm your host Dexter Arafiles, and today we'll be looking at the Mezco 112 Punisher, but if you think this is the real thing, this is not. Now, I got this as a request from one of my YouTube commenters, and he really wanted to see if the Mezco Punisher clone, or knockoff as some people like to call it, was a good buy. So I decided to pick this up and see if it was worth your money. Now, a little disclaimer before I open this one. I did record an unboxing of this, but it turned out really bad. Something happened with my sound. I got everything fixed, so I'm going to be opening this already kind of knowing what's going on. Okay, so I can give you a little bit better detail on this figure, and this might be a little bit faster in terms of an unboxing. So let's open them up and let's see what's going on with this figure. Now, I know this figure is valued at quite a lot of money. I believe I checked up on eBay. He's going for around 124, 140 for this guy. He's pretty expensive. So getting him as a knockoff might be worth it for some people, especially since getting him would cost you a very pretty penny. Also, one more thing before I open him up, I just want to let you guys know that I have a Patreon, and I'll be doing monthly giveaways if you are a patron, and this guy might just be one of them, so join my Patreon. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's open him up and let's see what's going on here. Box is in terrible shape. Ugh, every time I get something from China, it's just that box just gets destroyed. So let's look at this Punisher here, and let's zoom in and let's give him a closer look. Now, he is amazing looking in my opinion. We got a face here that just has all the details. That seems like something that a stock Mezco would have. We got shading of his like 5 o'clock shadow. We got the scars. We got the wrinkles. Oh man, this is just an amazing face. Also, one thing that I kind of don't like, and I don't know why I just don't like it, is that he has a glossy finish all over his face. That kind of doesn't go well, especially when you look at his armor and everything is has this torn up matte finish to it, and this face is just kind of like shiny. So it looks like you might have to put a little bit of matte finish yourself if you are the do-it-yourselfer. So let's look at his armor, which I think is kind of amazing too. Look at all this color going on here. We got like a wear and tear type armor. We got scratches here. We got some brown paint, some dark paint. It just looks amazing. He definitely looks like a aged, beat up, experienced Punisher here. And I absolutely love that. Of course, we have the cloth outfit, which is very skin tight to him. And one thing I did notice right off the box, right out of the box, is that this leg joint is extremely tight. Everything about this figure, as soon as I opened him, was very tight. In fact, I tried loosening him up, and it's really hard to loosen him up. So these legs are super tight. See, you can even hear how tight that is. That's ridiculous. This thing was tight as heck, and it's really hard to loosen him up. I have been playing around with him a little bit more to loosen him up. In fact, there's something I have to tell you, that this arm actually broke off, okay? So right when I was playing around with him, this arm pops right off, and I'm like, oh no. So everything was tight except for the arm. So I had to repair him. And how I repaired him was, I probably will just show a picture around here, is that he has a peg on his arm, and I just kind of super glued that peg. Well, I didn't super glue it onto him. I put some super glue on that peg and then let it dry so it thickens up, and then I popped it right back in, and it seems to be holding decently well than it was before. This would just come right off, and that really sucked. Also, to take him apart, just to briefly tell you how to take him apart, you just pull off these boots, and you can take off the armor. There's like pegs here, but by the way, his armor is extremely tight as well, very form-fitting, and the belt, and you could just pretty much take off the whole costume if you wanted to. This costume is kind of sewed on him, so it's really tough to take off. I didn't take the whole costume off. I just did all that so I removed the arms. So yeah, let's keep going into that paint and detail. Let's look at the boots. Looking really sharp here. We got a lot of beat up, scruffed up looking boots. This, to me, from what I understand, especially when looking at the Mezco official pictures, that this is pretty darn close to the real thing. I honestly don't know because I don't have the real Punisher. When he came out, I had a chance to get him and I just didn't pick him up because I didn't have a good experience with the Mezco Batman. So, unfortunately, I didn't have that chance. And now that he's super expensive, I was like, oh, well, now I regret not picking him up. So then, getting the clone kind of fits into that. Then fits into what I really wanted, and I did eventually get a Punisher. This is it right here. So he looks good. Okay, I really like the way he looks. He looks like Mezco Punisher, which is fantastic. Tight joints are always a plus. So let's go over his articulation. We have an up and down here at the ankle. We have a bend at the knee. We even have a thigh swivel and an up and down here at the leg. Again, I really don't want to mess with that because that is extremely tight. And the last thing I want is for this joint to break and then I got to tear them all down. We have an up and down or a ball joint here, and we have Kira joining us for this unboxing / review. And we have a really nice ball joint there. And we have a bicep swivel and bend at the elbow. This is a peg ball joint here at the wrist. And he does have an ab crunch, but because the armor is solid, he does not do a very good ab crunch. Also, this armor kind of hinders a lot of him holding guns and stuff, which is kind of unfortunate. And, of course, we have two joints here, one in the upper neck, one at the lower neck, so that he has quite a bit of articulation. I believe last I count, he was sitting at around 24, 25 points of articulation. Pretty standard stuff for a Mezco. And so far, he looks amazingly good. So, let's see how tall he is. Let's go over, since we've gone over articulation, let's go over scale. He's looking to be around 6 inches. And of course, we got to compare him with other action figures. We have the Daredevil Netflix Punisher. We have here SH Figure Arts Homecoming Spider-Man. Let's back that up a little. We have the SH Figure Arts Deadshot from Suicide Squad. Putting them there. And we have Moon Knight from Marvel Legends. So we have Marvel Legend, 2 Marvel Legends here, 2 SH Figure Arts here. And we have a very special guest who I'd like to introduce is Alice Koji from Figma. And I outfitted her with a bunch of the little armory guns. Hey, let's look into that real fast. So I have the Scar H and the Desert Eagle. And I think these two, I guess, kind of fit. I guess. Well, he's kind of more of a realistic Punisher and she's an anime girl. But I wanted to know if this gun does work with Punisher. And just real quick, yes, it does. Sort of. So it seems like the little armory guns, if you wanted to upgrade his arsenal and put more guns, do kind of fit. As you can see here, this is kind of small for a Scar H to fit into a man who's probably 6 foot tall. So it's kind of like a, kind of sucks. It's a little bit too small, but I guess you can make it work. I'll let you decide if that fits him in terms of scale. But it looks decent. I would say it looks decent. So there you have it. So that's it according to scale with other action figures. And now let's get to the best part of this is the accessories. Now before I get into the accessories, he did come with this really crappy trench coat and it did rip as soon as I tried to put it on him. I don't know what the Chinese seller was trying to sell me here. He thought, oh, let's add more to the package and let's give him this crappy trench coat. And it ripped and it's just atrocious. Can't even put it on him. And also he gave me this really ugly looking AK, tactical AK. Ugh, absolutely atrocious. It doesn't even fit his hand. But the one thing I do like is this M16A1 that he did give me, which is pretty cool. This does fit him. And it has a grenade launcher and everything. Nothing really works on this, just like a Mezco. Like in the Mezcos, you can pull the magazines and the grenade launcher can be loaded. This is just your standard M16, and it does work for him. So, let's go over everything that you get, which is really the fun part. I love everything that comes with him. And let's look at the face first. We have a really beat-up, tattered Punisher. Look at that. That's really nicely detailed. We got a bunch of... It looks like he's really swollen all over the face. We got cuts. We have a swollen eye there. Oh, man, it's just amazing. And then we have him in his really angry, toothless face. Really love that. Very accurate to the comics. And we have 6 extra hands And let's keep looking at accessories here. We have a knife. We have a blast effect, which goes with his rifle. And let's just get the rifle out. And this goes right on there. It kind of is flimsy, as you can see, so you kind of have to be very careful when inserting this into the muzzle of the ACR, which we should also look into the ACR. This magazine is really loose, and also the scope was really loose when I opened it. In fact, I hated it so much that I just super glued it. Let's be real, it just looks good with all the accessories, and it was such a disappointment just to see this thing fly out every single time I try to insert the magazine. It is not well pressure fitted in there, and it's something to kind of expect whenever you buy a knockoff, that things just won't be fitting very well, or a little bit too well in terms of the joints of Punisher himself. So I do like this ACR. It is really nice. If we look even closer to it, you'll notice that it's beaten up and tattered. We have a bunch of like wear marks all over the gun, and I absolutely love that. It looks really cool. Definitely looks aged and beat up and all kinds of stuff like that. And then we have a grenade launcher, which I also really like. And this does come off, but again, I super glued it just because it is way too loose. All the accessories on the guns were just way too loose, and they needed to be put together. So that's kind of the bad part about buying this kind of stuff, is they're just loose. But as you can see there, you can load all the grenades, and yes, you do get 6 grenades, and let's put those in right now. See? It's really cool. You can put all the grenades into his grenade launcher. And there you have it, a fully loaded grenade launcher. Again, this stock is really loose, kind of disappointing, but at the same time, as long as it's not popping off, I guess that's not a bad thing. This does swivel a little too much, especially when you have the grenades and then you're all posing them, and then all the grenades will fall out just like that. See, it's really terrible. I don't really recommend leaving him, I guess, when you pose him with the grenade launcher, leaving the grenades in there. It just kind of falls off, especially since this is so loose. Really not recommended. But regardless, this does look really cool. Now, the one thing that I did not like, I think this is like the worst accessory, is his 1911. And this is from an accuracy point of view. Now, when you remove the slide, this barrel is kind of like angled up like that. I don't know if the real one is like that. I don't like this because that's not what the 1911, when you take it apart, looks like. You could have at least put the barrel, I mean, I've been trying to remove that barrel, and I don't know, I might have to do it later on. The barrel and the slide should go together as one, not like this. This kind of looks like a 22 pistol, because most 22 pistols have the barrel attached to the body. And yeah, it just doesn't look good. In fact, you look here, that chamber is just seated way too low, and that is not good in my opinion. Also, this magazine looks horrible. It's a short stubbed magazine. That's not what a 1911 magazine looks like. If you're going for accuracy, you might as well get that magazine right. I know the Deadpool guns, but those magazines were decently accurate. This one is not. This one's way too short, and it just looks weird. Overall, it does count as, I guess, a pistol. It does have the compensator and everything and all the wear and tear, but in my opinion, I just don't like the way it functions if you're going for of course, the just shot, locked back slide look. And of course, it comes off a little too easily. So, not my favorite accessory out of everything you get with him. And I think that's about it. Nope, we also have the MP5K, which is also, well, I'm sorry, which is one of my favorite accessories here. It looks really beaten and tattered. The magazines do fit really well. This one has bullets at the end, as you can see there, and then we have one that doesn't. So you can have him like remove the magazine and then have him pose with the one with the bullets coming out of it, so it looks pretty realistic. I really like this MP5K. It looks very accurate, and I love the way it looks. Really love the MP5s in general, so kind of biased on that basis. So now that we've gone over all of his accessories, I gotta break down this figure for you. And while I'm breaking it down, I'm just gonna try to fit him with my favorite accessory, the ACR. So if you were looking to get this figure so you can save some money, then I'm gonna have to say, yeah, he's not a horrible toy. I mean, I had trouble trying to fix his arm and stuff like that, but you should figure that whenever you buy a knockoff, you do have to probably repair them down the line, just because these just aren't made to spec and they lack quality control. So if you were to pick them up and that happens, just take out the super glue, maybe a hair dryer to loosen up some joints if he's way too tight, and get ready to start repairing this guy. He's around $45 on eBay, and he was kind of difficult to find. I know someone in one of my YouTube commenters said, hey, this guy's coming out, you should keep an eye out for him, and I've been checking eBay ever since that day, and he never showed up. Until one day in my suggestions, there he was, and I was like, oh, cool, but he wasn't quite named Punisher, so he might be a little bit hard to find. Maybe you can get him at AliExpress or something like that. I haven't really checked there, I just checked eBay, and he came up. So I'm going to put a link in the description below on if I even know where if that auction's still available, and see if you can pick him up. So far, yes, he is definitely worth the money. He's $45, and especially since you don't want to spend $100, he might be worth it. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments down below. And anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And if you want, go ahead and become a patron of mine so you can get some really solid benefits. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Hey you! Thanks for watching. Rate, comment, and subscribe. Where? Right here. Not there, right here. You. And thanks for watching. So, rate, comment, and subscribe. Right here, right there, right here. Yeah.